Welcome into another episode of Locked On Phillies. And in today's episode, the Phillies just keep winning. They beat the Rangers last night. Ranger Suarez moves to 9-0 on the year. We'll talk about another outstanding start from the best pitcher on planet Earth, or any other planet for that matter. Also, we'll look into Game 2 tonight, a 6:40 p.m. game as the Phillies look to win yet another series. Do they have a chance to do it? Well, I think so, and I'll tell you why. And a little bit of a Trea Turner injury update that we got that seems to be good news for the Phillies shortstop, and when he could be back, we'll discuss on today's episode.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I am Connor Thomas, your host. Thank you so much for checking us out. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube. If you enjoy our content, that's the number one way to say thank you and to help us out is to subscribe on the YouTube channel, Locked On Phillies on YouTube. Go ahead, and even if you listen to this in podcast form, throw us a subscribe on the YouTube and check it out. It's fun to be able to watch as well as just listen. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your vehicle alive with all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to bring home that big win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. And the Philadelphia Phillies, they're almost an eBay guarantee at this point, right? And they're not going to be selling anytime soon. They'll be buying when we get to the trade deadline. But the Philadelphia Phillies just go out and win. And Ranger Suarez was dominant again last night. It was an outstanding performance against the defending World Series champions. A really good game. It was tight at points. It was nerve-wracking at points. A 5-2 victory for the Philadelphia Phillies. But let's start with the man of the day and every day, Ranger Suarez. Another game where he just didn't have his great stuff. I think he still has another gear above this where he's just the complete game shutout that he threw earlier in the season is like peak Ranger Suarez. But this was pretty darn good Ranger Suarez. He went 7 innings. He scattered 5 hits. He did allow 1 earned run, and that was in the 3rd inning to go ahead and get the scoring started in the game. And then the Phillies got it right back in the bottom of the 3rd. We'll talk about the offense in a second. Walked 2 guys, which is rare for him. But it's also rare for him. He's not normally a heavy strikeout guy. Ranger Suarez struck out 10 Texas Rangers hitters. He just had everything working. Spotting the fastball, changeup, breaker, everything looked good for Ranger Suarez. He just, some guys have a primary pitch and a secondary pitch and a tertiary pitch, and they work their way down there, and they use different pitches depending on situation and everything. I'm convinced Ranger Suarez could throw any pitch in any location at any time. The guy is just so in control of where everything's going and how he wants to attack hitters. Credit does go to JT Realmuto for the way he calls games for all the Phillies pitchers, not just Ranger Suarez. But, most credit goes to Ranger, who has been unbelievable. He's 9-0, right? Obviously the best mark in the majors. But they've also won all 10 of his starts. He had one game where he had a no decision. He was great. Jeff Hoffman came in relief, not his best outing. I owe an apology to Ranger Suarez because in the 7th inning, as he was finishing up his final inning of work, he gave up a single, and Leotis Taveras was up. Sorry about that. And he comes up to the plate, righty on lefty, and you had Jeff Hoffman warming up in the bullpen, and I said I would go get Ranger here. And then Ranger just goes and strikes him out on a backup fastball, or I guess it was a sinker, right inside, beautiful pitch. And made me look dumb. And that's cool. I'll look dumb. There's a reason I'm not managing the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm doing the podcast instead. But Ranger Suarez just absolutely battled his way through so well yesterday against a solid team. I know the Rangers aren't hitting that well right now, but it's a really good lineup, a lineup that was good enough to win the World Series last year, or most of a lineup that was good enough to win the World Series last year. So love that. But Jeff Hoffman comes in. For the 8th inning, only gets 2/3 of an inning's worth of work. Gave up 3 hits, 1 run, 1 earned. It gets tight there at that point, makes it 3-2. Then Matt Strahm with a shutdown final out in the 8th. Jose Alvarado locked down in the 9th, even though got a little bit sketchy there at points. But I don't know. The Matt Strahm out was the biggest one. Jose Alvarado was never quite worried he was going to give up anything in that inning of work, 2 strikeouts for him. Just flat out dominance by the Philadelphia Phillies pitching staff. Jeff Hoffman was the only guy who didn't look great in this one, and that's okay. I still believe in Jeff Hoffman. I think we all should. The offense was also, this is very interesting, right? Let's start in the middle of the lineup, right? And we're going to start at the 5th spot in the lineup. Bryson Stott went 0 for 3. He did have an RBI on a sacrifice fly, but Bryson Stott went 0 for 3. Castellanos 0 for 4. Cody Clemens 0 for 3. Brandon Marsh 0 for 1. Johan Rojas 0 for 3. Now Brandon Marsh had 2 walks. That's why he only had 1 listed at bat, and he had a run scored. But my point is, no one outside of the top 5 hitters or top 4 hitters in this lineup had a hit yesterday. So where'd the production come from? Kyle Schwarber went 2 for 4 with a big RBI. Also had a run scored. JT Realmuto 2 for 4, run scored. Bryce Harper 2 for 3, a home run, a big double, 2 runs scored. Only 1 RBI, but he scored on that double as well after or before hitting the home run. He just absolutely mashed 2 pitches, hitting stuff to straightaway center. That's normally a good sign that you're right on your timing. And Alec Bohm, 2 for 4, 2 more RBIs. Back in the major league lead, 4 RBIs. He has 44 now on the year. He's batting .333. I think we need to come to terms with 2 things right now, right? First off, are we watching a year where Ranger Suarez is going to be in Cy Young contention? Absolutely. We're far enough in at this point. 10 starts in, 9 decisions in, all of them wins in both categories. Ranger Suarez is going to be in the Cy Young conversation this year. He fully deserves to be, as is Zach Wheeler. You got 2 guys in the top 3 in odds on betting lines to go ahead and win the NL Cy Young. That's unbelievable in Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez. And Aaron Nola has been in Cy Young conversations before. Taijuan Walker won 15 games last year. Christopher Sanchez has upside as a 5th guy in the rotation. You moved the guy in Spencer Turnbull who had a sub-2 ERA to the bullpen because your starting rotation is just so stacked. This team is unbelievable. So yes, we're going to see Ranger Suarez in the Cy Young conversation. The more questionable thing that I still want to bring up the question though and talk about a little bit is Alec Bohm going to be in MVP consideration this year? I'm not talking about May, right? Or June. I'm talking about when we get into August and September. Is there a chance that Alec Bohm is still doing this, is still in the MVP conversation? I got to be honest. I think he's going to be good all year. I don't think he's likely going to be in the Shohei conversation or the Mookie Betts conversation or even the Bryce Harper conversation if Harper continues to heat up a little bit. He doesn't have the power numbers, which is going to hurt him for that. But I find it hard to believe that he's going to slow down significantly. He won't bat .333, but could Alec Bohm bat over 300 this year? Sure. Could he have 100 RBIs this year? He better. He's on pace for 140 or something. He is on an absolute tear. He's clutch with runners in scoring position. The Phillies have been really good this year with runners in scoring position, but Alec Bohm has been the main catalyst of that. I can't say enough good things about this team. I come on this podcast every day, and all I get to talk about is how great this baseball team is and why I think it's the best Philadelphia Phillies team I've ever seen in my life. I'm willing to say that. I think this is the best team I've ever seen. Doesn't mean they're going to win anything, but I really do think that talent-wise, top to bottom, depth and everything. Cody Clemens turned a huge double play yesterday playing second. Bryson Stott was playing shortstop because, of course, Trea Turner's still out. A little later in the episode, stay tuned. I'm going to give you an update on Trea Turner and his injury recovery from that left hamstring injury. But when I look at this team, top to bottom, I can't say enough good things about them. And yeah, there's still plenty of work to be done. It's still only May, but you just took down the defending champs in game 1. You're going to have a chance to win the series today if Taijuan Walker takes care of business on the mound. You've got a guy throwing in Dale Dunning for the Rangers that we're going to be able to talk about his struggles this year and just coming off the injured list for this start. So not exactly in midseason form for him yet. This is just, everything is falling the Phillies' way. The Braves lost again yesterday, so you pick up another game on them. I don't know what to tell you, folks. But this team, I've used the term juggernaut a lot. I've heard through reliable channels that a GM, not Dave Dabrowski, but a front office leader of a competitive team in Major League Baseball has agreed with my assessment of juggernaut. And that makes me feel pretty good about my ability to evaluate this team. And that should make you feel pretty good about how the opposition is looking at the Phillies right now. It's not, oh, well, they're just hot right now. No, this team is really, really darn good. And coming up, we're going to talk about whether or not they can get it done for another night in a row. They've won 4 straight. Can they push to 5? Well, next segment, we're going to talk about Game 2 of the series with the Rangers and what we need to watch for, because it'll be an interesting start for Taijuan Walker. And I'll tell you why as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Let's talk about Prize Picks first, though. They're awesome. They're America's #1 fantasy sports app. They've got more than 3 million members. It's hard to get 3 million people to agree on anything, but 3 million people have decided that Prize Picks is the place where they want to go ahead and do their daily fantasy sports. And it's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You don't have to find the numbers yourself. No, you see a bunch of stats on there for your favorite players and a bunch of different sports, and you just pick more or less on numbers that Prize Picks put out there. You just got to pick 2 or more players and their stats and watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season's moving. If you want to do baseball, that's my bread and butter. Go ahead and check it out. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks entries. It could be strikeouts. If you took the more option on Ranger Suarez yesterday, oh, yeah, you did well. But tonight, Taijuan Walker, does he do that? I'd actually take less on Taijuan Walker's strikeouts because he's hasn't used the splitter as much, and he's coming off that toe injury that caused him to leave a start early last time out. So go ahead and look at that. But there are other things besides strikeouts. RBIs, first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So what are you waiting for? An extra $100 or something? Well, guess what? It gets even better. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB. You'll get a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB. When you deposit $100, they'll match $100. You deposit $50, they'll match $50. Anything from $1 to $100 deposited in, you put in that code, and Prize Picks will match that. So go ahead and check it out. Prize Picks. Pick more or pick less. It's that easy. It's that easy should be the slogan to the Phillies season as well, because my goodness, they are unbelievable right now. I'm going to keep saying it until you get tired of hearing it. And even then, as long as they keep winning, I'm going to say it some more. The Phils are back in action tonight, 6:40 p.m. Citizens Bank Park, the setting for this one. And Taijuan Walker is on the mound for the home 9. Now, he's 3-0 this year. He got 4.91 ERA, 1.41 whip, 22 innings pitched. But we remember, he got hit with a line drive in the toe, a left toe contusion or a left foot contusion. Caught him on like the toe of the cleat last time out, and he had to be removed from a game in the 4th inning. Now he's back on the mound. He did not miss a start. X-rays were negative. He seems all good to go, but I'm going to be very interested to see what he looks like. Does he feel comfortable out there? Is he favoring that left foot? Which for him being a righty, that's his plant foot. There's a lot of rotation kind of it's more on the heel of that foot, but you're planting and transferring weight to that foot as you're throwing downhill. So will he feel comfortable doing that? Will it be a start where they try and get to the bullpen a little bit quicker than they normally would to try and just work him back in after being removed from his last start due to injury? Certainly possible. The bullpen is good enough that you can do that. I don't want to burn the bullpen, but that's definitely a possible strategy for the Phillies. That'll be the #1 thing that I'm looking for in tonight's game is how does Taijuan Walker look as far as health? Because you can't have injuries start piling up. That's the one thing that can sink the Phillies. If people are healthy, this team's a monster. If people start getting hurt, well, then you're going to have to test that depth even further. And there is a breaking point for every team. No matter how deep you are, no matter how good you are, there's a certain number of injuries that's going to hurt every team's ability to compete. The Phillies are nowhere near it now, but I'm just saying, like, you can't have them pile up, and that's why I'm glad that Taijuan Walker is making a start as scheduled. He's going to be facing off against Dane Dunning, and I think I called him Dale earlier. My bad, I misread the name. But Dane Dunning is going to be pitching. He just came off the injured list for Texas. He's 3-2 this year with a 4.1 ERA. He's got 43 strikeouts to go along with that ERA. Like, he's okay. Righty, so advantage for the Philadelphia Phillies. And guys like Kyle Schwarber have hit him really well in his career. Brandon Marsh has hit him really well in his career. Remember, Brandon Marsh was over in the American League West, so he saw him a good amount when he was with the Angels. Like, you're going to see some guys that have had success in their career against Dunning maybe do that again today. So look at Kyle Schwarber to have a big game. Look at Brandon Marsh to have a big game. Look at Bryce Harper to go out there and continue to stay hot like he did last night with a home run and a double and an RBI and 2 runs scored. Look at some of the big lefties. That's what I would recommend to you. Maybe even like Bryson Stott. Bryson Stott has cooled off just a slight bit from that 2-week stretch where he was tearing the cover off the baseball, but he went 0 for yesterday. I don't think he's going 0 for 2 days in a row. So those are the guys that I'd be watching for. As far as the guys to watch out for on the Texas Rangers, I mean, Seager, who went yard last night. Oh, I forgot to talk about that. Yeah, Corey Seager taking out some nachos and just barely getting one over the wall in right field. Nachos on the field, a replay review. I didn't think we'd have a nacho delay anytime at Citizens Bank Park, but hey, crazy things happen in this sport of baseball. Look out for Seager. Look out for Semien. Those are their 2 big guys. Those guys are great. They can hit anybody at any time. They can create a problem by themselves. Those are the guys you have to work around. The good news is the rest of the Texas lineup isn't really creating all that much to be scared of. And that's why tonight the Phillies on the money line are minus 125 favorites. They opened at minus 140 favorites. So the line moving a little bit back towards Texas there. But they're also ESPN analytics-wise projected to win this game, 59.5% chance to win this game. So pretty sizable favoring of the Philadelphia Phillies in this one. I don't really see this team slowing down. I don't really see the Rangers starting to hit. They didn't seem to put very good at-bats together yesterday, and that's easy to say when a team strikes out 10 times, but also just like watching that game, it did not feel like the Rangers were creating enough opportunities. It didn't feel like the Phillies were either. But another thing to think about is you look at trends and you look at averages for runs scored and stuff like that and the places you're expecting these teams to be. I mean, basically every 2 or 3 games, the Phillies are scoring 8+ runs. It's kind of nuts. Or like, let's call it just like 6+ runs even, but I would call those big offensive days when you score 6 or more runs. The Phillies scored 11 in the final game against the Nationals, 5 yesterday. Like, I'd expect a big offensive performance from the Phillies tonight. And it would be nice to get on the Rangers early and not take 2 innings of figuring out Dane Dunning, because you could really use Taijuan Walker to go deeper into this one. And if he's ailing a little bit or doesn't have his best stuff, the only way you're going to get him deep into this ballgame is if you build a sizable enough lead that you feel comfortable letting him go. So that's on the offense as well. If the Philadelphia Phillies win tonight, by the way, this is huge. It will be, and I don't mean to put too much pressure on them. Just go out there and do your best, boys. But if the Philadelphia Phillies win tonight's ballgame, it will be the best 50-game start in Philadelphia Phillies franchise history. They've been around since, 1883 is when the franchise was founded, the longest single-name, single-town franchise in North American sports. And they've never had a start this good if they win tonight. So you got that on the line. And I don't know if the Phillies players know this or care about this. They just go out every night and try and win a ball game, and I don't think it'll be on their mind whatsoever. And I think they have a good chance to win tonight. My point is just that should show you how good this team is and how confident you should be that every time out they have a chance to win ball games. I'd like for them to make it a little bit easier on us. They had 4 extra inning games last week. They started with a game that looked like it could have had extra innings written all over it until the Phillies ended up scoring 2 in the bottom of the 8th last night to give themselves a bit of a lead extension. And I just want a nice, easy game. Maybe that's not fair to ask. Just winning is all that matters. But I would like to not have to worry about 8th, 9th inning kind of heart palpitations. But that's all right. We will survive. We move on. The Phillies won anyway, and they're going to have a really good chance to win again tonight with Taijuan Walker on the mound and one of the better offenses in baseball at the dish. So as we wrap up, we're going to talk about how this team could get even better. There's only one way, and it's getting a certain shortstop back from injury. How close is Trea Turner to returning to play? Well, we'll discuss it coming up, and I'll give you the latest news out of the Phillies locker room as we wrap up today's episode of Locked On Phillies. And I want to tell you about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience, Well, that's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. They got superchargers, they got roof racks, they got exhaust kits, they got LED headlights, and more. So you might be into speed. I'm going to pick a different guy from the Phillies this time, like Kyle Schwarber. He was fast yesterday. Power, Kyle Schwarber. Style, Kyle Schwarber. Okay, he kind of fits into all those categories, but you might be into all those different things for your vehicle. Either way, eBay Motors has you covered. They've got over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You're always going to find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP, the Alec Bohm of vehicles, and bring home huge wins. Keep your vehicle alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Let's go ahead and talk about Trea Turner, because he was hurt back on May 4th, and we were told it was about a 6-week recovery for the injury. So I'm just going to do a little quick math here. If he was hurt on the 4th, that was the first Saturday of this month. We're coming up on the 3-week mark. This Saturday, the 25th, will be the 3-week mark. And he's already taking batting practice. He took batting practice yesterday. He's running around the outfield. Sprinting is going to be the sticking point for Trea Turner. That's going to be the toughest thing to get back to. Sprinting, quick movements. Like running straight line is normally not too difficult to get back to, especially with a muscle strain or injury or slight tear or whatever it may be. Like straight line is not a problem. It's cutting. It's using the muscles in a way that you don't expect to, all those surprise things. It's good to see where he is already in his progression back, though, because remember, initially, Trea Turner thought he was going to miss a couple days and be back. And then we found out it was 6 weeks. And we all were like, oh, my goodness, did not see this coming. And all the Phillies have done is just keep winning like he never left. But make no mistake, this team is better with Trea Turner available. He's a very, very good baseball player who is having a very, very good start to the year, especially offensively. And this team could really use him back. So when can you expect Trea Turner back? Well, I haven't heard anything about changing the time frame of recovery. And here's the good news, right? You don't want to bring him back early if you don't need to. And right now, the Phillies, with the best record in baseball and no signs of slowing down, don't need to. So I don't think they're going to change the time frame at all. If he's ready to go by, I don't know, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the 1st of June, maybe they'll let him play and he'll be a week back sooner than what we thought. Back a week sooner, I should say. But I don't see the Phillies rushing him. Even if he's good, they might be like, okay, well, I don't know if we'll do a rehab start. I don't think so. I don't think he's missed enough time for that. But they're going to be overly cautious because, frankly, they don't need him right now to win baseball games. They're better with him, but he is a luxury for this team that they don't need to put in peril by bringing back before he's 100% recovered from his hamstring injury. So I wouldn't expect to see him before the end of the month. Like, I don't think he'll play in May, but I do know that he took batting practice. I do know he's been running. I do know he's progressing well. No setbacks, no major issues. So expect early June to be the return time frame for Trea Turner. And as long as the Phillies can stay hot by then, well, they'll just continue to roll. Hopefully, you're ready for a lot more winning in the city of Philadelphia over the summer. That's all for today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Thank you so much for checking us out. Please make sure, again, you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff that really helps us out here on Locked On Phillies. It's the best way to say thank you for the great content. It's the best way to tell us you like it. It really helps us out. I can't overstate how much it helps us. So if you haven't done that yet, please do if you enjoyed the content. And we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hopefully a win tonight, and maybe tomorrow I'll talk to you about the best 50-game start in franchise history. But Phillies got to take care of 9 more innings first. We'll talk to you tomorrow on our next episode.